Yes, sir. Yeah, we get 'em. Why we do it? Why we do it? I do it for the.
Okay. So hey you guys. First of all, I'm so sorry for like the delay on getting this lesson out because it's just a lot going on. Not really, but it's just me over here being disobedient and I want to record this video, but this is a different subject. But anyways, I'm so excited and it is our first lesson as rooted and I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm not gonna get all emotional at the beginning because I'm trying to keep this short so y'all don't have to sit here and look at this for like more than 10 minutes or whatever. Hopefully it's quick and to the point. And yeah, let's see what the Holy Spirit has to say today. Alright. So for our first lesson, some people may be like, rooted. So I guess the first one is gonna be about roots. Well, not really. I mean, it's included in it because all of this is about growth or whatever. But I would say the subject for this lesson is that your praise is your breakthrough. Many a times when we are planted in new places, when we are suddenly moved to a new place that's not as bright, that's not as welcoming, that's not as warm as where we have come from, we begin to just be stagnant. We begin to just fall into this cage and carry this burden of just grief and just have a pity party for ourselves when in reality God is placing us in these places so that we can teach ourselves and depend on Him to praise and to pray and to grow in these new environments, in these new circumstances that we may have never ever found ourselves in. And with that being said, I'm just going to get started. Okay. So we're going to come from Acts chapter 16. Love it. We're going to verse 23 to 30. And that's Acts chapter 16, verse 23 to 30. And I'm reading from the Amplified version. I have the Joyce Meyer Bible. Y'all, this is everything. But anyways. Okay, 23 to 30. And when they had struck them with many blows, they threw them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely. He, having received so strict a charge, put them into the inner prison, the dungeon, and fastened their feet in the stocks. But after midnight, as Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns of praise to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them, suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the very foundations of the prison were shaken. And at once all the doors were opened, and everyone's shackles were unfastened. When the jailer started out of his sleep, saw the prison doors were open, he saw his sword. He drew his sword. It was on the point of killing himself, because he supposed that the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Do not harm yourself, for we are all here." Then the jailer called for lights and rushed in, and trembling and terrified, he fell down before Paul and Silas. And he brought them out of the dungeon and said, "Men, what is it necessary for me to do that I may be saved?" Now, that's a lot. I'm not even gonna lie, that's a lot to take in. But basically, be ready for your sudden breakthrough. I only have a few points to go through, just a few. It's not much at all, I promise. And we're gonna be out this. Alright? Okay. But anyways, first point. Notice that in the cell it was not just Paul. It was Paul and Silas. Not just Silas, but Silas and Paul. When God places us somewhere, you may think that you are alone. You may think that you're just in this place, in this territory that you have no idea how to track through. And even though you may feel like you do not have any physical connection with you, we often forget about the divine connection that we have called the Holy Spirit that is here that we can commune with, that Jesus himself died on the cross for, so that we may have it living inside of us as a best friend, as the person, as the spirit to help us communicate and get a praise and a prayer through. A lot of us, we just really depend on like our homegirls, you know, oh yeah, that's my baby, that's my girl, or whatever, to get stuff through, but we neglect the spiritual side of it. We neglect our connection with the Holy Spirit. And once you can make that really constant connection, I promise you, it would be no problem with God bringing people into your life for you to have that godly connection, for you to have that godly friendship, that friendship that can get a prayer through for you, that friendship that you can laugh with, do what you want to do, but then turn around and y'all can slay some demons together, because y'all, this spiritual warfare is real. Notice that Paul and Silas, let's say you're Paul. We're gonna say we're Paul today, okay? Paul and Silas, they're out there doing the work of God, but where did they end up? In a dungeon, in a cell, locked away. And just by like a little bit of communication with some of y'all, a lot of us have been doing the work of God, following the Holy Spirit, and we find ourselves in a dungeon, in a cell, locked away. And we just don't know what to do. And we just sit here and we're basically spiritually traumatized. And I really hope I'm making some sense right now. But we're like spiritually traumatized, and we don't know what to do from this point on, because we're just in this cold, hard place that we've never been in before. And this is when our connections are so important, because if you're in this place, the people that you're also connected to are also in this place, or listen to this, or they've been in this place but escaped it through knowing how to pray, through knowing how to worship. So Paul and Silas, you're Paul, we're gonna say Silas is your Holy Spirit best friend if you don't have any physical connection, because I know how that is, girl. I know how it is. Or your best friend for real. You should be able to call on them and both begin to pray in your time of trouble. Notice that we are only seeds. We are seeds in God's hand. So God has his hand full of seeds. We real cute up in here. Hair laid and just laid everything. And then God is like, I'm ready to see these seeds grow into the tree that I created them to be. From this tiny seed, I see a humongous tree about to bloom from the ground with great big fruit coming from it. So God takes his hand and he's like, boom, I'm going to drop you down into the ground. So now you're on the ground in some soil. You may have to go through some rocks, whatever, to get through the soil, but you're in the soil. But as the tiny seed, the darkness and the capacity that you are in is way bigger than you, okay? You may feel so suffocated. You may feel so just trapped. But you must remember the destiny that God has called you to fulfill, okay? He has planted you. While you were in his hand, he told you, hey, you're going to grow into a big tree with big fruit. So now you're in this soil, planted and feeling suffocated. And this is when you need to remember the promise and the destiny that God has for you. I don't know who that was for, because it just popped up out of nowhere, because that was not in my notes. But please remember the destiny that God has for you. The soil is cold, it is wet, it is dark, it is pressuring. You may be confused, you can't see anything, you don't know where you're going, you don't even know how you're possibly growing in this environment. But do know that God has a promise for your life, and that promise is for you to grow into a big tree with fruit, okay? Remember that seed thing. That was good. But back to this whole Paul and Silas thing. Your connections while you were in the cell either went through it or are there with you. And this is when it comes to test how you are going to handle these godly connections, which is why I stated in the beginning, how you communicate the Holy Spirit and God is it's a good representation of how you're going to handle these friendships and relationships that God gives you, okay? Okay, moving on to the next point. So, we're going to go to verse 26. Suddenly, there was a great earthquake, so that the very foundations of the prison were shaking. And at once, all the doors were opened, and everyone's shackles were unfastened. A lot of us, Okay, I'm not saying it's a lot of us. It's like half of us or whatever. We've been planted. We've gone from the hand. Now we're in the soil. We're in this place that we can't even describe, that we can barely see. And very soon, this is a prophetic message for somebody. And very soon, your soul is about to shift. Things are about to move out of your way because you are beginning to grow and fulfill this space that is around you. You are about to grow. When I'm drawing this to roots, I'm sorry. You are about to grow deep into this soul and absorb the nutrients in the ground. And in order for that to happen, the thing that is around you, the mess that is around you, has to shift. It has to move to make room for what God has ordained from the very beginning to grow. What God has ordained from the very beginning to fulfill. The purpose that you were planted to do will soon be happening because what is around you is ready to shift. And the other seeds that are also in this soil that you did not know were there before, the soil around them is going to get ready to shift. Shifting. It's shifting all around this ground. There's a whole lot of shifting in the soil, all because you decided to stay faithful and pray through it and praise through it, because your praise is your breakthrough. That is your suddenly. And your soul is beginning to shift. But you need to handle it properly, all right? Don't just be like, okay, my soul shifted, that's it. No. Because if you notice in the passage, later throughout in the verse, the guard was like, what do I have to do to know this Jesus? What do I have to do to be saved? People watch us. This is our testimony. This is what our testimony is for. God does not just give us these moments just for no reason. Yes, it's for growth. Yes, it's to bring us closer to him, but it's also to stand as a witness to other people to show that God is real, that he is real, to build our faith, to build our fire inside of us, to show other people, hey, my God is real because he got me out of this situation. He got me out of homosexuality. He got me out of sexual immortality. He got me out of being a compulsive liar. He got me out of just depression. He got me out of anxiety. He got me out of just whatever, low self-esteem, whatever your testimony is. That's what you speak. That is what you speak during this shifting, because you're growing and you're going to come into contact with other coming like a rock or something, but you're going to break through that too, child. Don't play. But whatever is shifting, the other plants in the other seeds in there, what they could not see before, when they see this root like growing past them, they're gonna be like, yo, that is pretty amazing. They're gonna be inspired by you and want to absorb the same nutrients from their original environment, so that they too may grow, because God is in every single situation that you are in, whether you recognize it or not. God is in every single situation. All right, let me tell you my personal testimony. Okay, this year, well, past year, I was in Atlanta and for school, and it was just absolutely awful, y'all. So much happened, and I was lonely. I felt like I didn't have any kind of support system in Atlanta, except for like 3 people who I hold so dear to my heart still to this day. And it was just really hard. And I was like, God, why would you place me here? And I remember during the finals for spring semester, I went back to my room after a Glee Club rehearsal. Yeah, I love Glee Club. And, and I just laid there and I cried out of frustration because I didn't know what was happening. And it's just amazing. But in that very moment when I finally decided to cry out of the pressuring of the soil around me, remind you, I'm a seed planted in a new environment, didn't have anything else around me. As soon as I started to cry, I felt God changing me from the inside out. I felt God taking away the burdens and stuff that I did not think he was in this environment. But he used this very environment to simply break me, to get me to want to grow deeper in him, even more as he needs me to. So yeah, just notice that whatever situation you are in, it's all for a purpose, and God is going to use this to grow you. This is the beginning of your growth. This is just the first shifting of your soul. This is just the first time. This is just the first layer of soul, actually. Like, you got a whole another layer, and you have something to sprout up from the ground. Now watch it. It's gonna be wonderful, and no one is gonna be able to just tear you up. But anyways, when they see you, they're gonna wonder how you're so free. They're gonna wonder how you've blossomed into the beautiful God-fearing woman that you are, and they're gonna want to know the source. So do not be afraid to step out of your cage. Number one, that's like your comfort zone in this case right now. Do not be afraid to step out of your cage and share the story that God has given you, because you too are given permission to another flower to bloom just as you have already, all right? And number two, handle it in a responsible way. Just because you have praised your way through and pushed through and your connections are everything are good does not mean that Satan will not tempt you with the same situation to get you back into your bondage. But now you know the key to your freedom, and that is your praise and your prayer. Use it. And that's all I have to say, because that's going into something completely different. But you cannot use the weapons that you had above the ground up underneath the ground. And I'm gonna end there because we're 16 minutes in. But I love you all. You all are beautiful. Notice I use the hashtag be great every day, because it is my prayer every night when I pray for y'all. I pray that God gives y'all the spirit to follow him and be great in your purpose, in your calling, in everything that you're supposed to be doing. I'm really excited. Just a couple of announcements, or not really announcements. It's just like ideas or whatever. I think the video thing is gonna be just how it is every month. God really would not let me just type up this lesson, and actually everything I just spoke today, nothing. I had no notes, no points, no anything. Just looking down at my Bible. God just gave that to me. So I think we're just gonna keep this video thing rolling. Yeah, I'm gonna be making personal contact with some of you all really, 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 really soon. I would like for every member in the group to be able to present a lesson, a blog feature, something. So yeah, but that's gonna happen really soon. I love you all. Stay close to Christ. Hashtag Michaela. Be great. And I look forward to growing closer with you all and growing deeper roots as we go closer to Christ. I really hope this lesson helped y'all or something, because I got really hot over here. But whatever. Love y'all. Be great.